Welcome to the latest Libertas video. Today we are back and we are looking at the Connor Kenway Vambrace from Assassin's Creed 3. Now of course with Ubisoft releasing Assassin's Creed 3 Remastered, super excited to be revisiting Connor as he is one of my favorite assassins. So very excited to get finishing up this Vambrace. Now we had started this a long time ago, about a year ago in the winter, and got all the way up to the point where we had dyed the leather, and then I had to hit the brakes on this one simply because I needed to finish up my Altair costume and finish up my Bayek costume because we were taking them out to do the desert photo shoot, which if you haven't seen the videos, definitely go check those out because I think the pictures came out amazing. Such a fun experience and really cool to see those costumes come to life and just look so cool. So definitely go check that out. But that meant that this had to take a bit of a back seat. So we are back at it. One of the last pieces that I needed to do, because of course you can see I've pulled it together most of the way, is paint this main emblem. Now this is an emblem that I created in Blender. I had modeled it and then sculpted the fine detail out of it and then printed it through Shapeways. And of course it works. It went onto these chains, a little difficult but not impossible. So really happy. That means it's a functional piece. I'm really excited about that. It's always cool when you make a functional piece. So it does do the trick. It is pretty sturdy. So we're gonna paint it up to really finish up the look of this gauntlet. Now of course I might be painting up this Amun-Ra hidden blade, which I've had for years now. It was one of my first reviews that I did for this channel. But it has a custom mounted leather buckle system that keeps this thing attached to the Vambrace. So might be worth painting it up to get that final look as well, but we're focusing in on the emblem for this particular video. I'll take you through the whole process of what I'm doing to paint it, why I'm doing it, and hopefully you'll learn something through the process or just be entertained, but hopefully at the end of the day you'll be inspired to go out and do something similar yourself. So that being said, we're gonna jump right into painting, so let's get started. All right, so this is gonna be somewhat informal, but here's our gauntlet. The first thing we're gonna do, of course, is take off the emblem. I keep saying gauntlet. I've said it in the past. I tend to use that interchangeably with Vambrace, but Vambrace is technically something that just covers your arm. A gauntlet should cover your hand as well. Since this one doesn't cover the hand, it's not a gauntlet. So, all right, so basically, I don't know if you can see that. And of course, it's not 4K, so I can't zoom in, but basically these links just kind of come off, so I'm prying them open a bit. That's why I'm using this. So yeah, this Vambrace has been in the works for some time. Like I said, I kind of got the boot for a long time. So with Assassin's Creed 3 coming out again, it's really given it an awesome opportunity to shine because I really was happy with how it was turning out. It's too bad I haven't finished it yet. So one of the things that I'm doing right here is I've got my cutting mat as a good base material, but I typically just use like aluminum foil. I put the paint directly on it. I use these Liquitex paints most of the time. Really like how they work. Now these are the heavy bodies. These are a little bit more expensive. And then you got your basics. Of course, it's like they've got their good, better, best scenarios. The basics will work just fine, but they are a little bit more, I'd say, watered down, so it takes more coats versus the heavy bodies can go on and basically, possibly even after one coat, you're good to go. But I typically like to layer my paints, so we'll probably start off with more of a bronze, which is gonna be kind of weird because it's gonna go for that silver look at the end. I'm really just going to try to build up texture and build up character for this particular emblem. Give it some look like, hey, it's been around for a while. It's not just brand spanking new. So yeah, like I said, I'm really happy with how this turned out. But we'll put down our base coat. Probably use the heavy bodies coming in at some other point, but we'll start with this one. Now I have a couple brushes. These are just random ones that my wife had in her art box, but they're a little bit more stiff bristled and a little bit thicker. I'm just using that to kind of get the material on quicker. So we'll just put a little bit of bronze, not a lot. Don't need a ton for for what we're doing. So got that, and I'm just gonna brush it on. So I don't know if you can see from the video's perspective, but it is pretty light. One of the tips when you come into a project like this is shipping, printing these, since it's a 3D print, printing it in black over printing it in white. It's like $1 more, but it saves you the whole process. Like if you didn't do this in black, you'd probably be printing it in white. It's a hard, flexible plastic is what they call it. Totally fine if you want to save $1 or $2, especially if you have black acrylic paint, but you're gonna have to put down a base coat. Otherwise these metallics are gonna be a little bit too light, and you're gonna have to put in even more excessive coats. So I'd save yourself a little bit of time and hassle and just print these in black. That's what I do with my hidden blades ever since I found out you could print them in black and actually did it. And yeah. And the reason why I'm going with the bronze is it's gonna give it, I don't know, if something shows through, it'll have a little bit of that rusty flavor to it. And Connor is a assassin who is in the forest a lot. And I'm not saying he doesn't take care of his stuff, but if he was gonna have something that was rusty, I mean, it'd be metal on a gauntlet, right? A Vambrace, ugh. But yeah, I mean, not much to this. One of the things that's cool about that too, especially with layering the paint, is it really helps you get into that headspace as well. You really get to start thinking about your character, or if you're cosplaying, who your character you're cosplaying is. You start either developing a story if it's an original character, or really examining in depth about who your character is, what their story is, and what that would mean for their costume. I think that gives you a little bit of an edge when you do create your costumes, especially if you're going to be weathering and texturing and doing all that. I mean, it's fun stuff. I mean, it can be tedious, but it's fun. I think adding those special touches of dirt and distress just really brings the costumes to life, and it's something I wish I would have done more with my buy it costume. Just, you know, it always comes down to it. I say, oh yeah, I'm gonna weather and distress this one, and then I have the costume like, but I don't want to ruin it. So I don't know. You can call me a hypocrite, but it's something I definitely intend to do. Now, of course, like with my Connor costume and with my Altair costume, they're old enough and they've seen enough action that they've kind of started weathering themselves, which is kind of cool, especially my Altair costume, which, I mean, I had made a couple of fan films with that one, rolling around in the dirt and had grass stains on it, which I don't know if they needed those, but had a whole bunch of layers of dirt in there, and of course went and got it dry cleaned so it all looked beautiful again. I was like, oh, those years of distressing just gone in an instant, but they're coming back. Doesn't take too long. But yeah, so basically I finished up that base coat, and of course you can see I didn't even use all the paint that I had prepared, so kind of bad for me. Of course, you could wear gloves as well if you wanted to. I just don't care. I'll just wash my hands after the fact. So anyway, that's gonna be that. What's cool about this Liquitex, on a side note, is it dries way different than how it looks. So, you know, we have this, I mean, it's dull right now. Now this will actually, especially on the black, it will turn and give it a lot more red. A lot more red will pop once it dries. Whether we need that or not, who knows. But just extra character. It's interesting how it dries a little different. I've actually not used the silver before, so this will be the first time we're using it. Hopefully it's cool. We might mix up some black. So one of the things you'll want to do is take your time. This is going to take a while to dry, and I might actually cut it here for tonight, come back tomorrow and finish it up, at least going on with the next layer, because it is getting kind of late for me. But the reason why you don't want to just go ahead and keep painting on top of it is when it's wet like this, once you start it gets semi-dry and then you put more wet paint on it, you can kind of lift off of the paint that you had that started drying, so you're kind of defeating the purpose. Now, I've used that in the past kind of by a happy accident to start really giving it more texture. So, you know, some paint's pulling off, the other paint's going on. It can look pretty cool. Actually, let's just test. Let's just test this one real quick. Yeah, sweet. Now, you don't need a lot of this, like I said. I mean, that might even be too much for us. Probably can't even see it because it's probably blended in with this material, but let's just use the back, for example. Okay, so it's, yeah, see, it's mixing kind of well with our copper, bronze. Yep, it's bronze. Yeah, it's not really layering on top right now just because the paint is so wet, so it kind of gives you that example. I mean, you can see a bit of a sheen, and this will dry completely different from the rest of it, but kind of cool. So I'll just paint up this side a little bit more. Now here, like, you can see the black was more, had shown through a little bit more over here, and it's layering nice. Probably could have got, I mean, you could go straight silver if you wanted to, if you're doing a similar project. But like I said, I like building it up. Building up the texture helps build the character. Make that a t-shirt. Building up the texture builds the character. All right. Finishing that up. Let's just get the front wall dusting. The cool thing about it, especially if you're going for that weathered look, is kind of going haphazardly on it. I mean, there's some art, there's some science, there's some just keep doing something until you figure out what you like. So, like I said, I don't know how much of this is actually pulling through on the camera. I understand the lighting might suck for it, but. And so essentially what I'll do is I'll just keep going back and forth with different types of paint. I might do another pass with the silver and build that up a little bit more, even more rough. Keep, you know, allowing some texture to pop through. But I could mix it in with a little bit of black, give it a little bit of darker look. I'll keep holding it up. Who knows, I might even toss in a smidge of gold. Really bring in just another color, and all of it's going to be really, really subtle. I mean really subtle, almost to the point where, say, you won't see it on the camera, but with the eye, it's just going to give it a little bit more pop, a little bit more texture. That it's kind of like with visual effects. I'm jumping off on a completely different tangent here, but it's these little things that keep building and adding, and all of a sudden, they've created this piece. They've created this image out of so many little details, but because all those little details are there, it brings so much extra life and character that it'd just be missing something if they weren't there. But it's not like you're gonna, you know, be at a convention and someone's going, oh yeah, you got a little bit of gold in there, I see. No, I mean, they're just gonna look at it and go, oh, that looks pretty cool. It's got life. It's better than just straight silver painted and then you were done. So. Like I said, I'll probably let this dry a little bit. You can see there's streaks, at least I can see, there's streaks of red, and, you know, mixing in with the silver, I think it's going to give it that really cool look. But we'll end up putting on another layer, probably of bronze, and then another layer of silver, and then, like I said, mixing in some of these other colors. Yeah, just give it that really cool look. So I'll stop rambling now. I'll turn the camera back on when we get back to painting. Probably tomorrow, so see you then. So you can see, like I was talking about, where the silver meets the bronze, it gives it just a little bit more life instead of being a straight silver. So I'm going to fight the urge to continue on tonight and try to be a responsible human being. All right, we are back as promised. We're trying something a little new with the video recording, so this is very experimental right now, but this has dried up overnight, and we're going to try something putting on at least another coat. Right now it's got a really cool like red fringe in this silver. Very, very cool. And if you were like, if I put it onto the gauntlet as it is right now, it would certainly pull out a lot of red, especially the red that is in the brown red leather, or the brown leather I should say. It's chocolate brown, but not necessarily what I'm going for, so I'm going to continue to work on it a little bit more. So we'll add in some more silver with our Liquitex heavy body. Once again, just a little bit. And we'll see how this one goes. Trying to think if I should darken it up a bit. This is a little bright, but let's go. Let's go with silver. So let's go a little bit more with this. And I don't know if you can tell from the footage, but it is brightening it up quite a bit. But once like I said before, this is giving it quite a bit of texture and life. Even just from what I did yesterday to what I am doing today, there is quite a bit of almost pre-weathering, I would say. Maybe we'll call it that, pre-weathering. Definitely multiple layers kind of showing through, and like I said before, it just gives it so much extra character. Now, I don't really need to focus too much on the back because, in all honesty, no one's going to see it. It shouldn't be leaving the gauntlet, but so I'll stop there. Not looking too bad, not looking too bad at all. I'm gonna try doing a little bit of this gold. Might be a bad idea, but I do have some brass accents on the gauntlet itself, so might be worth trying to bring in a little bit of that color. So that's why I'm gonna do it. Pulling up just a little bit, not a lot at all, and I'm just gonna try to brush that in there. Just get some little more accents here and there. Maybe too much. But yeah, I mean, here on out, this is just going to be me painting, so I might end up time-lapsing this unless I come up with something more interesting to talk about while I paint. But I'm sure this video is going on long enough as it is. Yeah, it brings some color through, but let's add a little bit more silver back into there. Once again, this is kind of what I was talking about. Ooh, that's black. What I was talking about the other day was you can start mixing these up a little bit once they're on there. Why you don't, if you like the way you're painting it, wait till it dries. If you're not liking the way you're painting it, it might be okay to try mixing in a little bit more color. Because essentially that's what you're doing, you're actually mixing it. So try that again. Let's mix a little bit of that black in. Some dark black. Some metallic black right there. Ooh. That's what you gotta be careful with the black, because it's gonna overpower pretty much. But like I said, this will give it a little bit of life. I'm just gonna go real rough here on this painting, just to try to build up that texture. So if I had some blue out, I would probably use some blue. But guess what? I don't. Only got what I got. I'm liking the way that looks. That darkened it up just a bit. Made it look really pretty cool. Just hold that up real quick to my gauntlet. See, Vambrace. That's looking pretty good. Okay, so what I'm thinking the next step is going to be is to actually seal this painting the way we have it. I think it's in good shape. You know what? I'm gonna add just a little bit more bronze. It's not in good shape. Not in good shape till you're done. I mean, small amount. That should be a small amount. Just want to get a little bit more of that red in there. I'll probably darken that up too, just a bit. Through just a little bit more color, just a little bit more character. Going for that weathered look. This is what we're gonna do. So I have gone too heavy with the red or bronze. Let's see how that looks. Might pop out just a little bit more silver, which I need. Let's try it. Let's give it a shot. And then, as I was saying, before I so rudely interrupted myself, we will seal this with a varnish. So glossy varnish that will help really give out that shiny pop of glossiness that you'd see with metal. Hopefully sell in. But one of the other things that's going to do, besides make it more shiny, is it's going to allow it to protect the paint that we've already done. So, we've got various colors popping through, that darker silver. Try to dab in here in the crevices. Just this pre-weathering technique. And then, but yeah, it's the varnish is going to end up protecting the painting that we've already done. So that way, if we start painting on top of it, we're not going to be pulling up any paint, because you do run that risk if you, especially when you start getting into the weathering, which we're going to take some black paint, we're going to water it down, and then we're going to apply it and then wipe it off. Once you start watering down the paint that you've already put onto your piece, you do run the risk of lifting it off of your project and ruining the painting that you already have. So we'll put down the varnish, we'll seal it up the way it is right now, which will be really nice. And then what we'll do is we'll do the weathering pass on top of that. So that way, if we don't like the weathering, at least we're not ruining the paint underneath. So all right, so we're gonna take our emblem and we're gonna put some of this gloss varnish on top. It's gonna make it nice and shiny. And we're going to make sure that the paint is protected, so when we do the distressing, everything's going to be okay. So we're going to do it quick, because I don't think people in the association are going to be too happy about me spray painting on the lawn. And that's it. All right, so we're back. Of course, it didn't record, so that sucks. Essentially, I'll walk you through what I was doing. I had wet down some black paint with some water. It's really, not too much, but this is thick black paint, so I had put that down. And what I'm doing is I'm painting in on top of this piece, as you can see here, and then wiping away with my towel. So you can wet down the towel if you want to get a little bit more of that paint off. Of course, be aware that your hands are going to get dirty. There's no way around it. Essentially what it's doing is that it's allowing that paint to catch in all the cracks and the crevices and the details. And then as you wipe away, it's simulating that weathered effect. So as you were to have a real piece of metal that had developed pits over the time, indentations or got cracks or scratches, also the edges where everything comes together, when you polish it up, there's going to be areas that you miss. So that's what this is simulating. So amazing really simple and effective way of getting your props or accessories to look much older than they are. So I, of course, had done all this, and the recorder just died on me. So that's cool. Always double check when you're recording. Sorry about that annoying hum in the background. That's the laundry machine. There it goes. But yeah, so this is looking really cool. I'm really happy with this. The next thing we're going to do is add a little bit of edges. So once this dries, we'll be good to go to put those edge highlights back on. So we're going to cut it here. We'll be right back. All right, and we are back. We're going to do just the edge highlights real quick. I typically would use these. They're silver spark or metallic luster. I use the silver spark. We're going to try it, but it is a little dried out on the inside. I don't know if you can even tell in the camera, but it is. The other ones are much better. The other thing you could do is just use the same heavy body paints, but you want to be careful with how you paint them on so you don't just undo everything you just did. So I'm going to use a paper towel and just rub some of this silver spark on here and see if I can't get some of these edge highlights back that I kind of lost when I did this. So, oh yeah, that's gone. That's gone. We're gonna throw this away. But anyway, these are wax-based paints. I typically like to use them, but unfortunately, my silver is gone. I have bronze and gold, and those are not going to help. So let's toss some really quick light layer of silver down here. Didn't even need that much. And you want to use a stiff bristle brush for this. Well, this is the stiffest one I've got, so try it. And we're just going to use a little bit. I'm not to go too crazy on this one. It's a dry brush technique, but as you probably watched, I pretty much always do a dry brush. But I'm just going to drag it across the top there. And there it is. It's bringing back some of that highlight that I was missing. Just be very careful, very patient with this process. Not screw it up, but you can always re-weather it. That's nice and wide. So here we go. That edge is back. So you know, these higher ridges, these are the things that would come in contact with other parts of your costume, and they would wear a lot more than, say, you know, the down lower in this emblem. So essentially what this is doing is replicating the wear on the top that is always in contact with things. So high ridged areas, any hard areas, those are the places that you'd want to concentrate on. And yeah, it's just another way. I mean, this is real subtle stuff. I mean, once again, stuff that most people aren't going to recognize that you've put the time and effort to put it in there, but would look weird if it, you know, if I had just left it with this black that somehow made it to its way on top. So I'm going to do that with these little edges right here too. And if you, say, wanted to add some scarring to your prop, you know, this is another way you can do it. Just get a real thin edge and then kind of streak it down. Like that. Just get another quick highlight if you wanted to. I'll try these spots real quick. And, you know, very simple. You could do multiple passes on it as well if you want. And probably not, because I think this is looking good the way it is. So very happy with how this is turning out. We're just gonna have to attach it to the gauntlet once it's dried, or the Vambrace once it's dried, and we're good to go. So once again, sorry about that laundry machine. So annoying, I know, but looking good. So yeah, done painting. All right, so we're back. Everything's dried up, so we're gonna reattach it to the Vambrace. Got it right that time. So this is the part that's a little tricky. Not impossible though, like I said. Just gonna take some patience. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take the links that kind of are open. They've all fallen off of here at this point, and I'm going to swing them into these holes that are right here, 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 and here. And then I'll clamp down onto, so there it is, push through. I don't know if you can see that. Probably not, and I can't zoom from here. And then it'll clamp down onto that piece. So I'm actually gonna try it the other way real quick. Nope, I like the other way. So yeah, just play with it. If you do something similar, and you'll get it. You'll get it. Get that just... like you can almost press these down with your hands, but pliers always work easiest. There we go. Let's just get them all pre-assembled, and then we'll worry about it. Now for attaching. Just open that up slightly. Put it on the link. Close it up. Nice and good. Two. Look at that, it's already looking so good. Love it, love it, love the look. I'm really happy with how this is turning out. Could not be more pleased. The other option you have is to open up the links on the other ones, so you can get these ones nice and tight. So I'll show you that option as well. Maybe. Focus. Gonna have to spin them around. So that's kind of what I did with this one because it's been mismatched. Same for this side. My tip would be, if you do something similar, don't make this emblem super tight with the chains, because it will be such a pain to put on the emblem. Especially if you rivet it down the way I did. I suppose you could go the other way and make these straps and then attach them to the vambrace after the fact, but you kind of want the vambrace formed around in the shape it's going to be in before, because you're going to know how much tension, or slack you need from these chains. So you just give it a little bit of slack and you'll be in good shape. So there we go, that one's there. Buckle it down nice and tight with the pliers. Ish, maybe. Spin this one back around so that I'm flying off. There we go. It's assembled. Show that off to the camera. Wow. Really happy. Looks really good in this light. It's gonna look real cool for the costume. Very cool. I mean, especially compared to the hidden blade that's so flat. I mean, this is before I did all those techniques. I mean, I did do a little bit of weathering, but not to this extent. Definitely didn't do the multiple passes of color. It's just silver and black. So, I mean, in a couple of years, we've learned a few things. So, really happy with how this turns out. We'll get some close-ups as well, but very happy. So, that's going to do it. Alright, and that's going to do it for this video on how we painted this emblem from my Connor Kenway Vambrace from Assassin's Creed 3. really like how it turned out, and hopefully through this entire long process of watching this video, you've been able to glean some good information on how you can go about doing a similar project. I will be making this emblem available on shapeways.com, so if you want to support the channel and you're looking to do a similar project, go ahead and check it out. I'll put a link in the description below. But yeah, like I said, really happy with how this turned out. Hopefully this has been entertaining, encouraging, and inspiring, and we'll see you on the next Libertas video.